I would say that being well is being comfortable with your life decisions, being comfortable within your own self, and waking up in the morning and not wanting to immediately go back to sleep, I guess, and looking forward to the day. It doesn't matter where the hell you come from. It doesn't matter who raised you. All that means nothing. You can overcome any of that. It's a simple black and white thing. It's like it isn't where you're from. It is where you're at. It's like you can't look back on your past and be like, this is why I am because of this. It's like you can overcome that. There's
Right.
ways to unlearn things. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
sure.
doesn't have to trap you. You can be aware of it and then, okay, now what? What do you do with it moving forward?
I'm learning something new every day with and how to be kinder to myself and how to be more forgiving of myself and how to be more loving toward me because I know that's just going to make my relationships with others much better at the end of the day too.
Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. We're bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Hey, are you feeling a little stuck in life? I offer wellness coaching sessions. Book a session with me if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead. Sessions are available worldwide. And check this out. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high quality supplements. We've simplified your shopping experience and given you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. And did you know all our Collaborative Resource Hub interviews air on YouTube as well as all major podcast platforms? Subscribe to stay in the loop. Go immerse yourself in the full Collaborative Resource Hub experience over on our website. You'll have access to helpful resources that will inspire and educate you. So let's inspire each other. If that guy did it, so can you. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer. Nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance.
Nick, how are you? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Amy. It feels good. Feels good to be talking to someone on a Zoom meeting that isn't work related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be a good conversation. Your submission form, you checked off so many boxes. I'm just excited to talk. So,
Yeah, me too. Let's get it all out there.
yeah. So, first question, right out of the gate. What does wellness mean to you?
Well, that's a good question. I think wellness can mean a lot of things to me. Obviously, whenever I think of the term wellness, I think of physical and emotional wellness. And I think both of those are very important to go hand in hand with each other because, if you're not physically, well, you're probably emotionally not going to feel well. And if you're not emotionally well, you're not going to physically feel well either. I've been dealing with like stomach issues for a few years now, and I kind of, about the mind, body, gut, you know, bull that um, coincides with one another. So it's hard to say, but I would just say that I would say that being well is being comfortable, like with your life decisions, being comfortable within your own self, and just generally waking up in the morning and not wanting to immediately go back to sleep, I guess, and looking forward to the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like that answer. What makes you look forward to your day when you wake up?
Um, First of all, probably listening to music first and foremost. Whenever I immediately wake up, I always, want to throw on a record and, take a nice hot shower. Uh, I'm a morning shower guy, not a night shower guy, even after I play a show. And a lot of people give me lip for that, but they're like, why are you going to sleep in your own filth? That's disgusting. I'm like, well, because then I'll be wide awake for another 2 hours and I don't really want to do that. And I know
Well,
it's
I do night showers and I get more just slack for that because they're like, only kids take night showers. I'm like, yeah, and so what?
I don't feel like that's I don't know. I feel like man, that's funny that people say that to you because yeah, weird. Where do you live again? Yeah,
An East Coast thing, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, West Coast versus East Coast, but yeah. Um. Uh. Sorry. What was the question again?
That's okay. Music gives you a sense of purpose. What else does?
Straight up. I mean, that is the number one. That is probably the number one thing as far as, wanting to look forward to the day. Taking my dog for a walk. In a weird way, I look forward to getting certain kinds of work done, especially if it's fun. Like, one of my jobs is, talent buying for a spot called Alex's Bar in Long Beach that I just happened to be wearing the shirt for. I didn't really even mean to do that for the interview. It's just a comfy shirt. And right now I'm working on building out some fun lineups for the later fall and winter. And, it's work, but, once you get things locked in, it's like, yes, so that's a good, you know, make it a goal list and chopping off the goals of what you've done. That's definitely a really good, one of the best feelings in the world, if I'm being honest. Nothing better than crossing out something on your to-do list. Yeah.
How do you stay organized?
Google Docs, Google Calendar. That's pretty much it. I set alarms for certain things, but yeah, my Google Doc and my Google Docs and my Google Calendars are very well organized. I'm on top of it. Considering how busy I am, I could probably only count on like one hand how many times I've double booked myself in my entire life.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive. Have you always been organized, or is it something you've had to like figure out just the busier you've gotten?
Ever since I was a kid and like high school and college, in high school I wasn't really the best student. I came around more when I started going to community college and then university. I definitely became a lot more organized. I mean, not a lot more organized, but just a lot more, I don't know, academically driven. But I will say that I always have been very well organized, like almost OCD to an extent where like I'll straight up have to rip out a new piece of paper if I don't like my handwriting on it, which I know is so bad, but I am that kind of guy. If you look at my desk, everything is like, it's not like super clean or anything, but everything is exactly where I want it to be. And it's exactly with my, my documents and my Google calendars, like everything's got to be in capital letters. Everything's got to be in, I don't know, exact time. I put addresses where certain things are because it just makes my life easier when, the
Yeah,
day comes. And yeah.
yeah, I dig it. So has there been like a point in your life, or it could be multiple points or whatever, but where you were like, I gotta make myself a priority. I have to refocus on myself. Like shit's gonna, hit the fan, that sort of pivotal moment?
So maybe this is good that we're talking about this because to be completely honest with you, Amy, um, I feel like I'm in that moment in my life kind of right now. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that like, it is busy season for in the world of entertainment, and that's the world that I work in all regards. Like I fill the calendar at two different spots in Long Beach, with entertainment, bands, food vendors from time to time, and DJs. Curating advance sheets, getting everybody ready, making sure everybody is in touch with the sound person and in touch with the bar management, and everybody knows how to get paid. And I play in three different bands, pretty much two of them being full time, Frankie and the Witch Fingers and Slaughterhouse. And Slaughterhouse is in the understanding that Frankie goes first, and everything else that I can do on top of that comes Slaughterhouse. And then Neighborhood Brats. I also got a David Bowie tribute show that I'm curating in the beginning of January that I just started getting the ball rolling on. Got a 3-night residency that's coming up at the end of the year at Alex's Bar that Frankie and the Witch Fingers are doing that I've been very much have my hands involved in. Um, and also, with all that territory comes a lot on the mental because you gotta like write songs too, you gotta tour, and both of my bands are Slaughterhouse and Frankie and the Witch Fingers are kind of in the process of trying to write new records right now. And also with Alex's Bar comes in mind, Alex and I have been hired by Sean Stern of Punk Rock Bowling to curate the club shows for next year. And that's about over 30 shows at like 7 different venues. So
That's awesome,
it's
but
awesome. But
shit,
yeah,
that's
I
a
got
lot. Yeah.
my plate is full. So to answer your question, I think I'm kind of in that state in my life right now where, I feel like everything kind of comes in waves. And I would say that the first half of the year, like January to May, is usually a lot more lax for someone like me, who works in the world of entertainment because, everything isn't so, you know, go, 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 go all the time. So maybe I'm just saying that because 6 months ago or January to May was so long ago, but it didn't seem like I was that busy. But, you
No,
know,
because generally you've got winter, everyone's still in hibernation mode and then slowly coming out of it. So spring is that kind of transition seasonally and, translates to other industries.
yeah, exactly. So right now, I'm 26 years old. I'm still fairly young. And people tell me all the time, like, it's like, yo, burnout is real. Like, it's like, it's awesome what you're doing. It's awesome, like, the things you've accomplished so far, but like, burnout is real. And that leads me to something that I kind of maybe wanted to talk to you about. And that is just like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what is burnout? What does it like? Does that mean like I suddenly just can't, like, from one day to the next day, I suddenly just can't do everything that I've been able to do for so long? Like, does my back give out immediately? Like, I don't know. Like, that's something that is, I don't want to, I guess I have two fears. Like, I'm afraid of crashing and burning, but I'm also afraid of taking so many things off my plate that I'm going to become a lazy, complacent person. Because ever since I dropped out of college, I feel like I've been doing nothing but busting my ass with entertainment and music because, it's like, well, one, I want to make sure my parents don't think I'm a fucking loser. And number two, I want to enjoy my life. I want to make money. I want to tour and play music for people. I want to create, but it's like this double-edged sword. I don't want to become complacent, but I also don't want to kill myself on accident
It's
either.
not black and white. There's a gray area that you can easily live with, that you can live within.
Yeah.
I'll take the easily off. But basically, burnout is okay. So, like your adrenal glands of your adrenal glands, yes?
Well, I know what I'm assuming that derives from adrenaline, right?
Yeah, you've got cortisol, you've got adrenaline, you've got hormones that will circulate through your body through when your nervous system is engaged in the sympathetic state. So you've got the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, when your body can relax and you're calm and like your field of vision is more wide and like your body is chill, your heart rate's down. You've got the
What is this called again? That's the
parasympathetic is the
par
calm.
parasympathetic. That's
Yeah.
the calm. Okay.
And then you've got the sympathetic nervous system, which is what people refer to as when you're in fight, flight, or freeze.
I think I'm in that more than often, and that's, I guess, has its positives and its negatives for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people, especially like in the world that we live in, most people, their nervous system is engaged. It's tapped into the sympathetic nervous system almost all the time. Basically, when they're not, or when they're sleeping is when they're not engaged in that. So when you're operating from your sympathetic nervous system, most of the time, you've got cortisol, you've got all of these other hormones that are like coursing through your body that over time, let's just say it like oxidizes your body, it's wearing it down. So that's sort of what burnout is. So your adrenal glands they say it's depleted, like the hormones and stuff from it are depleted, but basically you can fuck your adrenals up, which are the gland in your body basically that like correlates to stress. So you need functional adrenals to not end up feeling like walking death, basically. I burned mine out like hardcore. Because like through my 20s, because I'm 38, through my 20s, like, I mean, I was like career Whole Foods at the time, like in the wellness, as like a wellness manager and stuff in the whole body department. And like I was working nonstop. I'm small, I don't gain weight. So I was eating like a loaf of bread a day, you know,
Oh
one
my
of
God.
the 6-inch cakes, because I'm like, I don't get fat. I can eat what I want. And I'm
It's
like,
still
it's
that's
organic.
still that all that could probably fuck with your, still like your blood stream and
Exactly.
everything.
It's
Yeah.
still sugar.
Yeah.
It's still like, it's still sugar is the end game there. So
Hmm.
going, you can only do for so long. So the gray area that you want to live within is just making time in your busy day, doing the things that you love to do and that you have to do, and like make time to sit and relax, whether you're actively meditating or just zoning out to some kind of ambient music. Do a walk where you're just like letting yourself just pay attention to the nature and not getting caught up in your thoughts about work. So it's being
I know.
strategic with your day where you combine, like de-stressing time to counter your day-to-day life.
I know. And you're
Stomach
right. And
stomach problems. I mean, remember, we're on a podcast. This is not one of my coaching sessions, but like your
no,
stomach
I
problems
know. Go ahead.
probably tie into a lot of that.
Oh no, for sure. And I remember the exact moment in time when those problems started to arise. It was like probably like one of the most stressful times in my life. And it was like 5 years ago. It was I just transferred to Cal State Fullerton studying business. I was living on my own for the first time at an apartment in Long Beach, and I was commuting from Fullerton to Pedro to Long Beach almost like at least 5 times a week because, I was playing in two different bands. I was still working my main job, working for Alex's because I've worked there for a long time. And I was training for another job at the time, a more like blue collar, casual longshoring job that I still technically have in the back of my pocket, but it's very slow right now, so I haven't really worked in a while. Um, and yeah, I just crashed and burned. And I think it was like September 8th, 2018, where I just woke up one morning and I've just never felt the same since then. And there's good days and bad days. And I've been to probably like 5 different doctors, Eastern medicine doctors, Western medicine, like, and a bunch of different kinds of each. And still it's just like nothing. So I know at the end of the day, but I know I feel the best when I'm like, okay up here for sure.
Here's an advert in less than 50 seconds. Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Do you want to feel better in your mind and body? Then check out the wellness coaching that I offer. It's kind of like therapy. You can share what's on your mind, and then it's all about taking action. You'll learn new tools to help you heal and grow through what's tripping you up. We can focus on anything from physical health to mental health. Schedule a free 15-minute consult over on the website to learn more. And check out our Healthy Touring course. This self-guided online video course is for any level of musician. Whether you tour all the time or only sometimes, you'll learn a ton if your goal is to play better, feel better, and be better. With special appearances by members of Descendants, Teenage Bottle Rocket, The Last Gang, The Lawrence Arms, and more. Head over to the website for all the details. Now, back to the interview.
Going back to what you said too about that gray area, do you know Letty have you heard of a band called the Schizophonics?
Yeah, they're out of San Diego?
Yeah, you might want to have her on. She's a great person to talk to. And like, her and I kind of talk about this, and she's like, this may sound stupid, but have you ever considered like putting like Nick on your calendar? Like Nick time? Because I know that sounds dumb, but I literally had to start doing that. And like I feel so much better. Like she's like, I'll go to the gym, I'll go skating, I'll leave my phone at home, and it's done. And mind you, I think she's about your age. And I know that it takes time for people to figure this out, because a lot of the times too, it's like what you were saying. It's like, when you were busting your ass in your 20s, you feel almost invincible, but it does kind of, those what are they, the type of hormones start to burn out, you said, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen. I have realized that, like, on the days where, I leave my phone at home and take my dog for a walk and say hello to the neighbors, and simple shit like that makes me really fucking happy compared to, the stuff that makes me happy, which is work related too, and speaking it out loud doesn't sound that hard, but I don't know. I have this anxiety because, like, a lot of people rely on me, and the last thing I want is to become unreliable for not responding or not getting back within ample time. But then I also know that, like, if you put too much on your plate, you're gonna end up letting down more people instead of, like, just letting down one person. See, like, the thing is, like, I'm pretty,
Logically, you get it.
yeah, I'm a pretty smart person, like, to be honest, and, like, like, I have the tools. It's just using them is the hardest part for sure. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in this, like, breaking point in my life right now. To give you a good example, a bit of a wake-up call, I guess, that I had literally the day I got back from a month-long tour with Frankie and the Witch Fingers. And I don't care if this is recording. I'll take the fault for it. Yeah, I got in my first fender bender ever, and I fucking rear-ended the shit out of somebody because I was typing in an address on my phone going somewhere to where I didn't know where I should have been going. And yeah, I fucked up. I had very nice, affordable car insurance, and it's probably going to go up. I've been having to borrow my mom's car and curate times with her to when I could use it. And my dad has been having to give me rides a couple times because of my drums. And I've had to have some friends pick me up in their trucks for drums when my pops is working and stuff like that. And it's just more stress, and I could have prevented all of that by just not being a fucking idiot. And, luckily I'm okay. Luckily the person I hit is okay. Insurance is figuring it out. Luckily I only had to, it's only $500 out of my ass instead of the $6,000 in damages to my front end. But I'm not beating myself up. I've forgiven myself, and I'm, in a way, like, as simple and as stupid as a fender bender is, like, in a way it's kind of just like, all right, god damn it,
Another wake-up call.
yeah, exactly. And I guess I could say too that something else that has been, I don't know, I feel like I should stop for a second. I should let you do the talking here now.
Well, I was gonna ask you if you're good at forgiving yourself.
So that's a really good question, because that's something I literally just kind of got into a few weeks ago while I was on tour, and it was kind of a big realization I had. So we were playing Frankie and the Witch Fingers. We were doing 2 nights in Denver, both sold out, like 2 shows we were very much looking forward to the entire tour because they were at the end of the tour. Toward the end of the tour, it was the third and second to last shows, and then the last show was in Albuquerque. But first night of tour, I'm excited all day. It's the first night of the first 2 sold out shows.
Denver night 1.
Denver night 1. I'm super excited. I'm fucking hyped up all day. There's like a lighting guy who's doing visuals. I'm chopping it up with a sound guy. I'm excited all day. And then, like, 5 minutes before we go on, I can't fucking find the set list that I print, because it's my job to kind of, like, and I kind of just throw a fit because, like, I'm upset at myself, and I'm afraid that, like, my bandmates are going to be upset at me, when in reality they don't really give a fuck. And I know that, but, like, when there's a bunch of people outside and you're already running late because the first band went on late, and, like, you just got people waiting. You got people waiting on you. I fucking hate that feeling more than anything. And it makes me tense up into, like, this, like, nervous ball of energy where I feel like the world is crashing down on me and everybody's upset at me. And I remember immediately my guitar player, Josh, was like, dude, it's no big deal. And, like, we'll just write sets. It's fine. If we go on 2 minutes later, don't worry about it. And I don't want to get into the details, but I had a horrible show internally, not really on the outside looking in. I think it's safe to say that the majority of the audience there enjoyed it. You know, they came up to me after, and that's almost a shitty feeling too, you know, when it's like, you know, you don't feel like you could have delivered your utmost performance.
Right.
And, you know, you feel like you kind of let, not really necessarily the audience down because they had a good time, but you let yourself down and you let your team down. And I don't want to get into the details, but that was a very, 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 very rough night for me, uh, physically and emotionally. And I remember I couldn't fall asleep until very, very late that night. I'm talking like 5 in the morning because I was just harbored in my own thoughts. And but I did something productive and I wrote down like not an essay, but like a long, long journal entry that I haven't done in a long time to kind of be like really write out what happened, what I felt during it, and what I felt after. And I think that the biggest conclusion that I made from it was like, I'm a very forgiving person to other people, almost to a fault. I almost let too many people in.
Uh-huh.
So like, you know what I mean by that? Like, and I know that leads to getting taken advantage of. And
Well, it's the other side of the coin of being hard on yourself, being, you know, wanting to keep everybody else like comfortable and taken care of.
that's the
It's
thing. And that's the thing. It's like I realized I'm a very forgiving person toward other people. Like if somebody wrongs me or I don't know, does wrongs me in any way, big or small, 9 out of 10 times, I don't really hold any resentment. I'm just like, whatever, I can give a fuck. But I could be so much better at forgiving myself. And that is something that I really have been trying to work on in these last few weeks. Because mind you, this was only shit, barely 3 weeks ago, this moment I had. And I've kind of have been telling myself like it's okay to be a little bit, you know, I guess selfish in that regard to where like you need to forgive yourself because like after that show, man, I literally was like, what's the guy's name from fucking Winnie the Pooh? Eeyore. I was fucking Eeyore the rest of the night, and like when instead I could have been partying with the band we were on tour with at our Airbnb and just having a good time, and instead like I was in the van by myself in the freezing cold for like 2 hours, like sobbing, and I just couldn't stop, and I just felt like an idiot, and it's so hard for me to get out of that state of mind and that I just it's hard to snap myself out of it once I get there.
yeah.
And I know there's ways to get out of those things, but I think the easier thing is to just be like make sure you don't get there in the first place. You know, and I think a way to do that is just be like, all right, no one is out to get you. You're like only out to get yourself. Like no one is as mad at you as you think you are. Like put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Like, I don't know. Like if Dylan couldn't find the set lists, my singer, I'd be like, okay, whatever. I'll fucking write them out really quick. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like, but because of me not wanting to let my team down or anything, it's just like that leads to the existential question of like, oh my God, did these people only like me because they like me because you know, I'm helping them do, you know, that's a whole nother like deep rooted thing from my childhood where it's just like I was the ostracized weirdo kid who was chubby until I was like 19 years old. And I never played sports and I was always the fucking outcast weird kid who was playing music and nobody did that. And now all of a sudden when I realized like, oh, okay, like this is actually something I could do with my life as an adult, and then all of a sudden people want to kind of fucking milk you for it, then you start to be like, oh my God, like what is going on here? Like you didn't fucking care about me when I was just like this normal ass piece of shit, like terrible student. Like I'm getting off topic here, but that
You're good.
my relationships in my life, platonic relationships, I mean, are very even romantic. A lot of those like thoughts from my childhood and my teens are very hard to unlearn. And I've been working on that in therapy and been trying to, at least in these last few months have been really hard because, you know, I've been gone a lot. And, you know, when you're on tour too, it's really hard to do therapy on the road too, because I think on this last US tour I did, I think I had my own bedroom to myself on like 2 nights of the entire month-long tour. You know, you always got to at least share a hotel room or an Airbnb room with somebody, or and then by the time you get on a, after a long ass drive to get to the venue and you sound check, it's like, man, I don't want to talk to a therapist for 45 minutes to an hour. I want to go like fucking eat food or something, or take a nap or something.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a grueling. I'm so, I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but like I if there's anything that I want to emphasize to anybody listening to this, or to anybody in my life, it's like I'm so grateful to be doing what I'm doing, and touring and playing music for people is truly like no other job in the world, and the payoff when it's good is truly the greatest feeling in the world. But it also doesn't come without a cost too, and you really need to make steps and take initiative to take care of yourself as much as you can. And it's hard. It's a very unapologetic world in that regard, where it's hard for people on the outside looking in to realize that, like, you know you're just a normal person just as much as they are. You
Mhm.
just happen to be playing music for people.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because you had put this on your form as something that you wanted to talk about, and I think this is a good, follow-up. You wanted to talk about the beauty of touring despite its mental and physical drawbacks.
So yeah, I would say that out of since I've been seriously touring since about, I want to say that I've been seriously touring, meaning like my like being on the road at least 4 months out of the year, starting in 2019 with Neighborhood Brats, actually, and then filling in for Mike Watt, and the bass player. I'm sure most people listening know who this is. And since I've been touring pretty seriously since then, with the exception of 2020, because we all know what happened then, um, I would say that I've met some of the greatest like people in my life from being on the road. And I don't know, I'm extrovert like in nature, despite being like the kid who got like, fucked with a lot for, being this like weirdo chubby kid and everything when I was uh elementary and high school and everything. I still am extroverted at heart. So I love meeting new people. I love playing music for people. I love making people smile, whether if it's with just me being who I am, or with, the music that me and my bandmates play together. It's really cool, like, to just meet uh like, for example, like when I did the Neighborhood Brats tour in 2019 and the Mike Watt tour in 2019, I realized it's not just like the cool, like, I guess, quote unquote famous like punk people you might meet or whatever, but it's also like the normal friends of friends who let you crash at their house for the night, and you kind of realize like, wow, these people are like seriously some of the coolest people in the world. And just like meeting and talking with so many people who have the same interests as you, and just, I don't know, stuff like that gets me off in a weird way, where it's like, the guy's house you might be crashing at has a record on his wall that, like, oh my god, I love that album. And then, like, and then you're having a beer about it, and then you're just like geeking out about it. And I guess what I'm saying, it's like, and then when you actually play a show for people as well, and you play a good show for people, despite if you're playing in front of 20 people or 200 people or sometimes even 2,000 people, you know, as long as you have this like sort of general feeling that like they enjoyed it and you enjoyed it as well, it's kind of like a give and take between the audience, and it's like a synergy between the
Yeah.
audience and your bandmates and you on stage, where it's like if they're feeling good and if you're feeling good, it's like the best feeling ever. And like, they buy a shirt after, and then like, you might be wandering around outside after, and like be like, oh, can you sign my shirt? And be like, yeah, sure, that's funny. I don't know. And I don't know, I was talking with my friend Paul, who plays drums in the OCs, and I saw them play the show at the chapel a couple months ago, and like, we were just hanging out after. you know, and he said to me kind of like what we're talking about here. It's like, yo, it's like I kind of asked him, I was like, dude, you go hard as hell, like almost as hard, I mean, as hard as me, like, and you know, you're like, I think he just turned, I think he just turned 45. I'm just like, how are you? I'm like, I forgot exactly what he said, but it stuck with me where he said, like, dude, like, I know, like, I'm tired a lot. I know you're tired a lot, but like, you know, if you take care of yourself a little bit more, and like, which I'm learning to still do, like, well into my early 40s, it's like, it's way better than fucking sitting down and clocking in somewhere and, you know, slaving away for somebody else. And he's fucking right. When you realize, that touring is a job and you treat it like a job, but you also are realize how lucky you are to be doing it at the same time. That's kind of the beauty of it. It's like, yeah, man, you can't expect every job to be easy. I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like with touring, it's like most of the time, the 45 minutes to an hour on stage is kind of the best part of the whole damn process, when, you know, the driving and everything else is not really necessarily the best. You know, you might be running on 4 hours of sleep and eating dinner at 1 in the morning because you didn't get to eat before you played at an ample time. So you might have accidentally or unpurposely stuffed your face right before bed at a hotel room. It's like, oh shit, we got a 7 hour drive. Now you gotta, do I have time to take a shower? Do I have time to go to the bathroom? Do I have time to get coffee? Do I have time to take my supplements? Did I remember to take my medication? Who's going to be the first one to drive? Um, do we have an interview that we need to do? What's the sound guy going to be like at the venue? Do I have time to go for a walk before I play? Do I have time to eat before I play? Do I have time to take a nap again? It's just, there's every
There's so
day's,
much up in the air. Yeah.
yeah, it's like purgatory in a weird way. Every way is a new day. And despite the day that you had, whether it was good or bad, you gotta fucking snap yourself out of it to an extent to, you know, deliver the reason to the people why you're there in the first place. And
Exactly.
I think that's what keeps me going. It's like, if there's 20, 200 to 2,000 people that came to see us, or, you know, to see us play, it's like, okay, like, you got to do your fucking job. I don't know. I kind of rambled there, and it was tough for me to kind of articulately explain that. But yeah, it's, touring is very tough, but the payoff totally, when it feels good, outweighs the negative side of it for sure.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And to be lucky, and to be honest too, I'm lucky in the sense of how I'm touring. I'm fucking blessed in the last 4 or 5 years since I've been seriously touring, that I don't have to worry about where I'm going to be staying. You know, I'm always at least going to have 99% of the time, I know I'm going to have a hotel or a bedroom at a friend's house, or an Airbnb to stay for the night. You know, I don't have to I don't have to worry about that, which is, I'm so grateful for. You know, I don't take that fucking for granted
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
a huge slice of the pie right
Straight up,
there.
I know for a long time touring was way worse. Like, you know, you were fighting with the promoter to get a decent amount of money. It's like, I can't remember the last time I've had to do that. I think with my first band ever, we've had to do that when I was like, up until I was like 19, 20 years old. But ever since I've turned 21, that definitely has not been a thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm I know in a way it sounds like I'm complaining in a lot of ways, but no, these are just things that happen.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it real. There, it's just what it is. But I'm super 100% grateful to be where I'm at. Like, and I only want to keep growing. It's kind of like a never ending, it's like a never ending rope that I'm climbing. I don't feel like I'm ever gonna get, people ask like, yo, like, you guys are like there. I'm like, fuck no, hell no, we're not there. Like, sure, we sold out the Troubadour. Sure, we sold out our Seattle show. Sure, our Portland show is about to sell out. But like, there's only like 20 tickets sold to our Santa Cruz show right now. That's
And you could do double or triple nights in those places. Can you sell
exact.
out all those?
Yeah, exactly. That's a joke here, but I'm joking there. But like, nah, man, I feel like I'm climbing a rope that's, to the top that's never ending. I
Welcome
don't
to life. It
exactly,
applies to all aspects.
I know. I think people need to realize that just because what I do is a little bit different,
Yeah.
like professionally, it's really nothing different than what everybody else does, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people who work in corporate and tech and office jobs and, in blue collar jobs too, where it's just like, getting to the union and stuff like that too. And like, once you actually get to the union, it's like, is it, there's never really like an end game, in my opinion, to any sort of career path. It's like you're always going to be working to
Yeah.
something higher.
And
And
ideally you always want to be expanding and growing and learning new stuff. So
that's the
yeah.
thing too, about that as well. It's like people say, it's like, oh my God, you're so good at drums, like blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, it's the only fucking instrument I know how to play. Like, yeah, I know at this point I've been playing for almost 17 years now. And, I could say at this point, like, yeah, I'm a good drummer, but it's the only fucking instrument I know how to play. And I could be a lot better at other things. And I guess what I'm saying from that is just like, yeah, I know I'm a good drummer, but holy shit, there's still so much more to learn. There's certain drummers I see on the internet and certain drummers that show from time to time where it's just like, yo, holy shit, man. Like, I'm constantly inspired. I
That
think that's
dude
what,
the dude on Instagram, I can't remember what he goes by. He's like Russian or something. He's got the beard and he plays like crazy fast stuff like with one hand. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't think I've
Ah,
seen that. Yeah.
he's wild. I gotta find something from him. I'll send it to you.
I feel like I'm going to be learning something new until the day I die, honestly, especially when it comes to with drumming. And that's what constantly keeps me inspired. I've realized is like discovering something new musically and wanting to like incorporate that into my drumming. And I think that's something I've also realized in the last few years is like I was a fan of music in general first through my dad when I was 5 years old. I heard a Rush song when I was like 5 years old, and I was like, yo, I like music. And then I had no desire to play drums. And then somehow, some way, long story short, I started playing drums when I was 10. And then I think that kept wanting me to become a better drummer was just discovering and listening to new music. And that's what makes me, super into records and, discovering a new record that makes me want to, be like, oh, that was cool what that guy did there. Maybe I can incorporate that into my own music that I play. That's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps me creative and wanting
Yeah.
to. One of my best friends, who he's the type of friend who kind of like hazes me 90% out of the time, but like 10% out of the time, like tells me he's told me something a couple of years ago. It's like, I'm super proud of you, and like you're at where you're at because you're open about what you love, and like love attracts love or something
Uh-huh.
like that. And like you said, like if you're passionate about what you're into, it's like people are going to be attracted to that. And I think that's definitely gotten me to where I'm at, in my opinion. But that also has its drawbacks too. When you're super passionate about something, sometimes that can, like for example, I don't know, me beating myself up if I made like one little small mistake during a set and being worried if like it upset my bandmates or somebody in the audience noticed, or it's being passionate definitely has its gives and takes for sure. But I can't help the way I am. I like being a passionate person. It makes it
Yeah, well,
makes it makes me who I am.
you stay passionate, but then you just learn some other tips and tricks on how to, mitigate and be on top of the side effects of it, as you'd
Yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to have a day to yourself, which I might end up making you do, and you're gonna have to like, picture it didn't happen, a self-care day, Nick's day of rejuvenation, what would it
Uh-huh.
consist of?
Well, let's see.
Food, sleeping, where would you go? Stuff like
Well,
that.
I'd wake up, with hopefully 8 hours of sleep, I would go on a simple 1 to maybe 2 mile jog, take a shower, drink some coffee, eat some oatmeal with maybe some almond butter in there. Um, I, man, I don't even know what I would see. Now I'm like thinking, I don't know, I'd hop on my computer and do work. I mean, yeah, that's unfortunately where my mind goes. Um, Maybe I'd go to a record store I've never been to or something like that. In somewhere on my list I've been meaning to go. Maybe I'd get lunch with a friend after. Then maybe I'd take my dog for a walk. And then maybe I'd watch one of the 200 movies that are on my watch list that I've been meaning to watch, People love to give me shit for not seeing. I've never seen an Austin Powers movie in my life or something. I know something like that. I've never seen The Goonies for Christ's sake. I've never seen I don't know, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Have you
I
seen The
like
Big Lebowski?
yes, that's one of my favorites. I have seen The
Good.
Big Lebowski. I do love The Big Lebowski. Yeah, I'd like to sit down and not worried about a work related question that's sitting there for me right now, actually. And just watch a movie, hang out with my parents, because they're getting older and I'm an only child. And, would like to not worry too much about what somebody else needs from me and just worry about what I need for myself on certain days. And I know that almost makes you sound boring because my whole personality is almost so in, ingrained with all things music related, but it's been tough for me to find a lot of other interests or hobbies because I've been just so busy with music. You know what I would do too? I can't remember the last time I've really sat down and played drums just for myself. I feel like every time I've sat down behind a drum set these last few months, I've just been, okay, time to practice or it's time to write. It's not really
Not
like,
creative, like just
yeah. I can't remember the last time I sat behind the drums and used it as like an outlet to bang. I had a rough day. I'm gonna go fucking play drums. I can't remember the last time I've done that. I haven't been able to set up my drums in my garage in a long time because they're at my studio where I have to have them all the time.
Mhm.
It's it's important to think about these things. So thank you for putting that in my head. Yeah.
It's a good list of stuff that you will do sometime in the next, by the end of the year. You're gonna pick a day and you're gonna actually do that.
And
World will continue even if you do that.
yeah. And like there's certain days on my calendar that are like, open in like a month or two, and then, they might end up getting filled where it's just like, oh, it's like, hey, can you do a photo shoot this day? Can you do an interview that day? Can we practice this day? I'll be like, well, I'm free this day. Sure. Pencil that in.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's tough, but I know taking care of yourself is more important than anything. And yeah,
And the fact that you know that and you have that awareness, I mean, that it is the first step to any kind of forward movement or change. So you have to be aware of it before anything else can happen. And you are. So
like I said, I have the tools. It's just using them is the hardest part. And I don't really know what is going. I don't want to have a break. I don't want to have like a breaking point either. Like, sure, the car accident I got in was, but like, I don't know. I'm not in jail. I'm not hooked on drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. I mean, to be honest, I probably shouldn't drink as much as I should, but it's so involved in the entertainment life that like, I might just be drinking for the hell of it. But let's just say I haven't hit rock bottom. And I don't want to have to hit rock bottom in order to,
yeah.
have to like flip my life around overnight. Like but I want to start using these tools is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, like I fuck off. I know, but I'm fine, but I'm not fine.
Right. So for someone, what would you tell someone who would maybe want to play drums but hasn't, or like want to get into music in some way or some kind of like hobby, but they're like, they don't think they're good enough, or like, what would you say to that?
I would definitely say just absolutely go for it, despite, it's like when you're a kid riding a bike or a skateboard for the first time, you're most likely going to fall. You can't have a great payoff without great failures first. It's for the first 6 months of me teaching myself how to play drums. I didn't even use my kick pedal. Like, I didn't even use my feet. I was all hands. And then when I finally started to like feel like I was a little more comfortable behind a kit, I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with my hands now. Let me start adding my foot in there a little bit. And then I started adding my left foot in there. So I guess what I'm saying is, with anything in your life, seriously, anything, you're saying like, oh, I can't do that hike, it's too long, or I can't run that far, it's too long, or I can't finish that book, it's too long, or that's all that is just in your head. Sure, it's going to take time, but nothing great that somebody could do does not come out of this, doesn't fall right onto your lap. It's going to take work and it's going to take persistence. But once you get there and have that payoff, it truly is like the greatest feeling in the world. And once you feel that, you're just going to keep wanting to get to the next thing and the next thing, and it never ends. But isn't that like what life is all about? Don't you want to keep feeling good, and you want to keep like feeling like you're checking things off the mental checkboard in your life? Because then life would just be boring. I
Right.
mean, can
Right.
you like, what if you're just doing if you're doing the same thing every day for the rest of your life with no excitement of any sort, then you're gonna get complacent, you're gonna get depressed, and then you're gonna feel like life isn't worth living. And it totally is. There are so many things out there that make it worth living. And I'm very lucky that I found out those things at a very young age. And I'm fucking 100% grateful to be living that right now, even though it does get tough at sometimes, because I am a human being just like everybody else.
That's
You
right.
know?
And it drives me nuts when people do try and what do I want to say? I can't think of the word. Like, oh, my problems aren't that bad because this person has it worse, you know? I'm completely drawing a blank on the word. But when they do that, it's like your problems are very much valid, even if it's, you're not in some third world country or something. What you're feeling is relevant
Yeah.
and you're allowed to have those feelings.
There's somebody in my life who I know who's way older than me. She's like my mom's age. And like, I don't know, if I'm ever just like, for lack of better terms, bitching or complaining about something, and she's just like, well, at least you don't have cancer or something like that. It's like, yeah, of course. It's like, well, what if I fucking did? What if I got cancer tomorrow? Huh? How would you feel about that? It's just like, that is just, none of that is not productive at all. That's just,
Valuing. I think that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
That is just like, I don't know. What do you say to that? Well, at least you don't have cancer. It's like, well, I fucking wish I did, like, what do you say to that? I don't know.
Yeah, you say okay, and then just don't talk to them about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or
Shut
yeah.
it down.
Or ever again.
Yeah, or that. Um, but no, like you all of your experiences, have brought so much awesome growth into your life, and where what you see could be areas that could be better, like again, the awareness, like all of that is cool. And the struggles that you have with music and with your career stuff, it's like, are being on tour and complaining again, like they're your experiences and it's okay to have them.
I did think of a quote too, honestly, that has, I know you probably want to segue into that, but I know,
We're here
um
right now. Let's hear
are we
it. So,
here?
Nick, do you have a quote that you like a lot?
Yeah, I do. And it's something that has really, there's so many quotes and so many things that I've read from philosophers and friends and family and things that, one of my favorites is an old classic parenting one that my dad said: I brought you into this world, I could take you right out of it too. That's a classic. But the one that has really resonated with me was from Mike Watt, and it could mean a lot, be interpreted in a lot of different ways. It's very simple. It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. And in my opinion, the way I have always viewed that is it doesn't matter where the hell you come from. It doesn't matter who raised you. It doesn't matter. All that means nothing. You can overcome any of that. And I mean, it's simple it's a simple black and white thing. It's like, it isn't where you're from. It is where you're at. It's like, you can't look back on your past and be like, this is why I am
Right.
because of this. It's like, you can overcome that. There's ways to unlearn things. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. It
sure.
doesn't have to trap you. You can be aware of it and then, okay, now what? What do you do with it moving forward?
Yeah. That echoes in my head too. And I guess another one too is another simple one from my dad. And it's like, stay humble. I feel like he always has said that to me growing up, And even though he's like really proud of me and gasses me up a lot, he always still at the end of the day like says, stay humble. And I think if you stay humble, the more humble you are and the harder that you work, the more success that you will have. Because I'll tell you right now, I think it's safe to say that nobody likes a hot-headed person. And
Yeah.
I know I could be egotistical, and I know I could be out there and extroverted. That makes people threatened by me. That like it makes it feel, oh, he probably thinks he's hot shit. It's like, well, little did you know that I fucking cried for 5 hours after I played my show tonight. So I ain't as fucking, I ain't as hot shit as you think I am. Everybody's got their demons inside.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
um you know I'm not faking it until I'm making it. I'm being wholly unapologetically myself, and I'm not really afraid to admit that. And if people don't like me for that, it's fine by me. I don't care. I got enough things that make, and I got enough things and enough people in my life who, and mind you, it's a very small few people who love me for who I am, and that's fine by me. And everybody else
And
is just icing on the cake.
first and foremost, yes, the small amount of people, but you gotta love yourself. That's like number one on the list.
And you know what? I do. And it's hard to on certain days. But a lot of the times, I do. And I'm very grateful to be out of that mental hole that I was really deep in a few years ago. And it's still, I'm learning something new every day with and how to be kinder to myself and how to be more forgiving of myself and how to be more loving toward me, because I know that's just going to make my relationships with others much better at the end of the day too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, and stay humble.
There you go. And you didn't think you'd had a quote and you got two of them.
Got two of them.
I told
Two of
you
them. Yeah.
during the interview, everybody thinks of them if they don't have one.
Well, when you're a person like me who doesn't know how to shut the fuck up, every once in a while something's gonna creep in the back of your head. It's like, oh, I remember now. Yeah.
Okay, so the tagline for my business, so I do the podcast, but then I do wellness coaching, I sell supplements. The tagline is delay dying. So I like
Lay
to
down.
ask everybody, if you had to give someone tips or advice on how to delay dying, or in other words, live happier and healthier, what would you say?
I would say that I don't want anyone to take this in a literal sense, because obviously it's bad to be selfish, but being selfish is okay. Being selfish is okay. You know, going to putting the phone down and putting the laptop down at a decent time so you can get a good night's sleep, or give yourself an extra hour to make a healthy dinner, or to go on a walk, or call your grandma. That's okay. The work will be there the next day. And I'll tell you right now too, at the end of the day, we're only here for so long. So just fucking enjoy it while you can, and try to, whenever you have that moment where it's just like, man, fuck this job, fuck this person, be like, you know what? Why am I letting this bother me? Like, there's then zoom out and think about what makes you happy and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go do that right now, because fuck all this other shit. I'm only here for so long. I'm gonna do something that makes me happy. Yeah.
It's good. More people need to do that. You passed the test. Congratulations.
I think I got like a B minus. I don't know.
No, I would give you a B plus. No.
Yeah, I like that.
A minus. You got an A minus.
All right, cool.
There's some tangents in there, so you know.
I know. I'm sorry. I should have warned you. I should have warned you. Or Jenny should have warned you. Jesus.
Do you have anything cool coming out for anything in your world this autumn?
Yeah. So, my band, Frankie and the Witch Fingers, I guess I could say what's going on for the rest of the year is we're going to Australia for the second time in 2 years in a row, which is insane. We're going to be there the last week of November. We're doing like 5 shows out there. We're doing I'll tell you right now, we're doing Brisbane, Gold Coast, 2 shows in Melbourne, and Sydney. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll tell you right now, I'm not really looking forward to the jet lag again, because it's the worst jet lag you will ever experience in your life, because you're literally going forward in time and then going back. And then we're pretty much done with touring for the end of the year, except we're doing 3 nights at Alex's Bar in Long Beach, where I work, New Year's Eve weekend, with 3 different lineups each night, which I'm extremely proud of myself for putting those lineups together. Obviously my bandmates helps, but like, you know, they know I'm the guy who's like, you know, it's like, yeah, we trust you, figure it out.
Yeah.
First night we got us, the Paranoids, Mike Watt and the Missing Men, and Bon Bon. Second night we got me, Frankie and the Witch Fingers, Spiritual Cramp, Paul Quattrone from the OCs doing his solo project Expensive Shit, and my buddy's band Hoop Jail. And then on New Year's, we got no other than Off, the super group of, you know, Keith Morris and Mari Rubikalba and Autry and oh my God, and Dimitri, of course, and they're headlining, and then us, and then we got our buddies, the Schizophonics, opening up the show. So that's going to be a hell of a New Year's Eve party for sure. And I'd love for all of you guys to come to any of those shows, because they're going to be fun. I got some shows with Slaughterhouse in November as well. We're playing in San Pedro on November 9th, a headline show at the Sardine, and then November 10th in San Francisco at the Knockouts. And I think that's pretty much all my shows for the rest of the year that at least I'm at liberty to say right now. Yeah, follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up. I'm Nick Guy1, NickGuyone. And yeah, love yourself and love others, and go to sleep.
I love it. Dude, thank you for making time out of your very busy life and sharing what's in your brain and where you want to go, and you know what's made you you and all of it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Amy. Like I said, sorry for tangenting. It's a point of contention in interviews with my bands. Yeah.